Welcome back, everyone, to Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas, day number 1. It's the kickoff day for Season 2, as we are just finishing up a series between Jesse and Eddie, and we're going to be wrapping it up with Eddie advancing and playing against Fr0zen to wrap up the day. And the bans aren't in just yet. I think Eddie maybe needed a breather, but got a chance to sit down with Sand during the break and chat with him, and he was talking about how he's like, am I just bad at Tempo Mage? Because what were some of those, the card generation effects, right? Like his mana cyclones didn't really land very much. His evocations weren't really doing a lot. So he was like, what happened? Fr0zen was getting all these 1 mana cards at discount to 0, and I was having like a Pex's Blast and Pyroblast and all the secrets that he doesn't really want. I feel you saying. That's why I personally don't really play a lot of Mage myself. Speaking of, Mage is banned this series. First time we've seen that today. Fr0zen banning Eddie's Mage and has a lot of respect for it, and Eddie banning the Priest. Both players, of course, respecting each other's time as well, as we are rapidly approaching the end of the day. But in just a few short hours, TJ, we're going to be getting APAC soon.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
And our 24-hour charity stream apparently continues.
Yeah, this is, I mean, at the end of the weekend, it's going to be 72 hours. Almost. Right. A small break in between, as anybody who's watching can get a four-hour nap in, most likely, before Apex starts, and can start it all over again tomorrow with Group B for each region. But Fr0zen's lineup, Tempo Mage with the Giants, the Bomb Warrior, and the Secret Rogue, whereas Eddie is playing the Highlander Priest, which we may get to see this series. Haven't really got to see it in the other series. The Pain Warrior, which has been performing very well for Eddie. And then the Survival Druid, which hasn't necessarily been performing very well for Eddie. That plus the Mage seem to be the decks that he's been struggling with in these series, but still manages to pick up a win, which means he gets another chance. So we'll see who's going to join Muzzy to go on to that top 4 on Sunday. But this is a test of endurance for these players. Eddie will have played 3 series very in short succession, and Fr0zen had the first series of the day, which was incredibly long, and then another one which was not as long, I suppose. But it's going to be tough to kind of regroup and play some decks that honestly are not the easiest to play, especially from Fr0zen's side. The Rogue and the Mage do require some precision, which, after playing Hearthstone for high stakes Hearthstone for, this much time here, is got to be pretty tough.
Right. And I think that, grinding it out this much in the lower bracket while Fr0zen got a nice, hour and a half break, that might make a difference. But both of these players, I believe, are kind of running on fumes as they've been playing even the 2 days leading up into it. For reference, GM, the week of Swiss starts days beforehand, leading it into the top 8. So these players have been competing for a few days in a row, and waiting for your opponent sometimes can even sap you of that energy. So we'll see who can have that mental acuity to keep on, because a little bit unusual sloppiness from today's top 8. Most notably from Fr0zen, right, where he got super punished. It was kind of an epic misplay where he messed up a sequencing error and then got punished immediately by that Priest, which was fun to see, but at the same time kind of crushing, because we know Fr0zen's way better than that. So we'll see how it goes into game number 1. But with Priest and Mage ban, I am curious to see who gets the upper hand, because I do know that these players have been kind of competing for a while, and I think that their ban strategies are also evolving.
Yeah, they are, and I think that that's going to be the case over the course of the next couple weeks. Well, I guess not really, because we're going to different formats, so bans are going to be completely different. And then we have Last Hero Standing next week, and then Specialist for week 3. Don't call it a comeback, Dan.
It's going to be great. Specialist format, Galacon Priest Mirrors. Oh, yeah. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see how that one's going to go. But for now, Fr0zen's going to be playing this Bomb Warrior, slightly different from Sans we just saw, just because he has the Cutting class, as well as 1 copy of Coerce. and then a Captain Greenskin. So and double upgrade. So more like kind of all in on just getting these additional weapon swings and just a little bit more removal because the coerce can help deal with one big minion. But I mean, this deck packs so much removal. You have Risky Skipper and Lord Baravis combo. You have Shield Slams to deal with single things along with coerce. You have Blade Storms to deal with wide boards. It's just a lot of removals going on there. And talking about things that might change in the coming weeks, this is the current bring rates for Americas. Priest being incredibly popular, followed by the Survival Druid, with Temple Mage being at 44%. In the other regions, it's quite a bit higher. But I do feel like Temple Mage has been struggling, and it's hard to tell whether or not that's because players just haven't had enough practice with the deck. It is tough to pilot. But it could be that the lists aren't necessarily fine. We're seeing a lot of variations, like Fr0zen, who's running the Giants with Conjurer's Calling. But time will tell where this metagame will kind of settle. But I think it's still up in the air because there are a lot of decks that do have pretty high power level.
Light shall bring victory.
All right, game one. Eddie's going to be playing that Highlander Priest, where Fr0zen is going to be playing this Bomb Warrior. Definitely have to give the edge to Fr0zen here, just because, one, Eddie is sort of making his deck weaker and less consistent in order to include these Highlander cards, while Fr0zen is shutting off the Highlander effects with bombs, assuming he can pick up his Wrench Calibers. Also, Eddie needs to kind of try and be proactive on the board, because if he just let Fr0zen do whatever he wants, then he'll be able to start getting those Wrench Calibers, buff them up with Captain Greenskin, with the upgrades. It's going to be pretty tough. He's going to be on a lot of pressure, and I feel like the best way to win this matchup is either one, to completely tempo out and hope they don't have removal, or two, to just bide your time and try to fatigue, which is very, very difficult because of how many bombs this particular deck can give you. And Wrench Caliber picked up right away with a lot of follow-up. Captain Greenskin upgrade. He's going to be able to shuffle a lot of bombs in.
Yeah, I like it. I think the weapon, what's the term I'm looking for? But like basically having a weapon as your foundation and just constantly building up on it is a really powerful way for Warriors to play, specifically in matchups that you know they're not holding Acidic Swamp Ooze. Which is all the more reason for Fr0zen to ban Eddie's Mage deck, because it has 2 Acidic Swamp Ooze to shut it down. So even a deck that's supposed to be good at pressuring Mage, theoretically, gets shut down pretty hard. So overall, I like it. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of what those rogue decks that like to use the sharpened sword, where they play like that weapon, and every time they attack, it gets stronger. Wait, what just happened? Both bombs just got drawn, and Eddie's now at half-life. Okay.
Excuse me?
Cool.
That might be on the nominee reel for craziest outcome, Dan. The next Hearthies.
A 2 out of 24, and then a 1 out of 23. Yeah, that's pretty low odds.
Mindrender here gives nothing. He can Blade Storm his Mindrender away. And there's Captain Greenskin, and this could be a quick game.
Yeah, I think this might be a really quick game for one, just based off the amount of pressure, and Eddie doesn't have a lot of that heal. Is it like a Lucia and search for an answer? Oh, jeez.
What's the answer, though? For 4 mana? Holy Nova, I suppose, and heal up. Try and outpace these bombs. He's even got the Dr. Krasinov if he wants. Upgrade again! Oh my gosh! Oh, jeez, this is a beating.
He's got... Yeah, so this kind of strategy is really hard. Actually, this kind of strategy has always been hard for Priest to deal with, even going back to the early days of Hearthstone. where this was like an Arcanite Reaper strategy with Nightblade back in the day.
Yeah.
Or Rogue that would play like Oil, Tinker Sharpsword Oil, and then keep buffing their weapon, and you can just hold it against Priest for the longest time. And if he plays a minion, he's just gonna rush with Dr. Krasinov and then upgrade again.
I know. That's crazy. And he can't just not play a minion.
Kronks.
I mean, he can Kronks for a taunt. Yeah.
Yeah. Or heal?
Oh, jeez.
Gotta be taunt, right?
Yeah.
The 8-8 just stops the weapon, but at the same
Nope, going
time,
for the heal.
your opponent hasn't been playing anything. You anticipate removal. You would just shield slam and move past it.
He's drawn every weapon buff in his deck. And now Apotheosis isn't even an out. Fr0zen just leaves. He's like, yeah, you're dead, bud.
Wait! No,
Not
too many
active, because
duplicates.
there's four bombs. 3 bombs, 4 bombs. There's a lot of bombs.
Just plays a taunt, hoping that he can get in front of it. I like Deathwing here. Swing the Deathwing and swing to the face. Bladestorm also is totally appropriate as well.
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't want to leave any minion for Eddie to potentially do anything into, or to like rush into, or like cast spells into.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is brutal.
Eat your those!
Well. Wow.
What?
All right,
After
well.
he attacked
Eddie has taunts.
6 times with a wrench count.
He has taunts with Cabal Acolyte. If he mind under Lucia, he actually can steal the anchor, which will stop the direct damage.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm kind of surprised he chose not to play another minion. Oh, well, that's just lethal.
He's just dead.
All right, game number 1 over to Fr0zen. Pretty
Nice.
quick. But, you know, the Bomb Warrior is designed to really mess up decks that go slower and really punish them for not being able to answer that. Also, there's the added effect where the multiple copies of bombs shut off things like Zephyrus from their battle cries to activate.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a big deal. If you're playing Highlander deck, I would say that 99% of the reason right now is because of Zephyrus. Unless, of course, you're a class that also has another Highlander card like Highlander Hunter that wants to play Dynatame Brand, which is very powerful.
Yeah, you're effectively making your deck weaker and less consistent in order to have the upside of Zephyrus and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, and Bomb Warrior completely shuts that off. So, not the best game 1 for Eddie, but still some series left to play. I feel like that was probably one of the worst matchups, yeah, it's going to be tough to get past that one. I feel like this Rogue deck, I'm not sure about the Rogue deck versus Highlander Priest as opposed to the Galakron Priest. I'm not sure if it's better or worse, because you do have more, you pack more of like that late game punch, because you have Zephyrus as an additional way to kind of swing the board state, and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza can sometimes be like that one big threat you need to push yourself over the edge. But it feels like this Rogue deck is like Death by 1,000 Cuts, where they just kind of get a ton of value, and every single turn they're generating like this really annoying board. And they have the added benefit of also having Questing Adventures and Edwin Van Cleef that can sometimes go uncontested. But we're not going to see that matchup just yet. Eddie's going to turn to the Druid this time around.
Yeah, the Druid is going to be really powerful, and if Rogue can get in there and really mess up its tempo, that's how it's going to be a way for them to strike back. The tempo that's usually generated through Rogue is like an early Van Cleef or a questing adventure in Fr0zen's case, and we'll see if he's able to do that. For now, Eddie keeps Guardian Animals, the most important card in his deck. And we'll see if Fr0zen can utilize cards like Cult Neophyte effectively. I'm actually kind of back and forth with Cult Neophyte. A lot of times I want to play it on curve just because I'm Rogue and I want to get things on curve, like on the board to pressure my opponent. And then I think about how effective it is late in the game when you need to make certain cards difficult to play, like Guardian Animals.
Yeah, you kind of have
I
to.
agree with throwing it back.
Yeah, you have to time it properly, but also kind of guess right when they're going to go off with these turns, which isn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world to do. And you'd much rather find things that you're guaranteed going to play instead of trying to hold on to this card, which is a disruption tool. Much different from Lotheb, when it was almost always good to just play it on 5 in most matchups from back in the day. But it wasn't a keep. It was just something that was good to play on 5. Whereas Cult Neophyte, not necessarily good to play on 2.
All right, Eddie ends up going for partner assignment previously when Eddie picked the assignment. Ended up giving him some really nice cards that allowed him to curve out with Hogsteed and the Zixor, and then Gorilla Zixor Prime with Survival of the Fish, which is pretty funny.
And then lose anyway.
Lose anyway.
Well, maybe a Cold Neophyte's going to be played anyway. Could interrupt the Wild Growth turn here? Or, sorry, Overgrowth turn here?
Yeah, the Neophyte
at the very least, it disrupts Eddie's plan.
Yeah, it makes Overgrowth harder to play, it makes Wild Growth more expensive. I appreciate what the Cult Neophyte is.
The 2-drop.
The mini Lotheb effects. Ooh, Evasive Chimera. Ugh. Not really super powerful in this position. Rogue can just dagger it down. The question is, does Fr0zen want to start setting up Questing Adventure this turn? Kind of.
Yeah. You want to get it down early against Druid because you want to get it out of range of removal before they can get Guardian Animals and Bog Beams and whatnot. I mean, Eddie can deal with it because he has Guardian Animals as early as next turn. Actually, going with the Questing Adventure and then Shadow Stepping the Cult Neophyte.
Yes. Sounds really good to me.
Yeah, that actually sounds really good. And then next turn, he has a lot of additional cheap spells. Could even Secret Passage if he wants to find more.
Yeah, I also... I would be tempted to try and play one more card because it gets the things out of range like Bog Beam and Hero Power, which is often like on your mind. So I think
with
it
Cold
might
Neophyte,
be worth playing a card here.
With Cold Neophyte, Bog Beam will cost 4.
Oh, you're right.
And he couldn't like coin Innervate because it would completely negate its additional mana. It would be like Bog Beam Lightning Bloom Hero Power, but then you're super happy if he uses that to deal with your Questing Adventure.
Right, that's a worthy trade for sure.
Yeah. So I like stopping here, and now he's got a ton of room next turn to get this Questing Adventure pretty large. Will it be large enough to be out of range of Guardian Animals? Maybe not, especially with the... actually, he wouldn't be at 7 mana maximum mana crystals, so even if like Twilight Runner were to pick up Bog Beams, it still wouldn't be enough. So this Questing Adventure actually is going to be quite problematic.
Yeah, I wonder if it's better for him to play just like a minion and hope that he doesn't get punished too hard right now. And the reality is he's going to get punished really, really hard. Vendetta and Secret Passage here. Very strong. Probably lead off with the Vendetta. Most likely I like the backstab as well, since it adds an extra stat to the questing adventure. Oh wow,
Ooh.
Titanic Lackey as well. That might be a little too much now, because the
Yeah.
Titanic Lackey stops guardian animals from being able to rush into the ideal targets now.
Yeah,
How you
especially
actually
if
position
he
this space as Lackey is important at the same time.
Yeah,
Go ahead, TJ.
put some space in between the evil miscreant. Oh, I was gonna say put some space in between the evil miscreant and the questing adventurer, and so that way 6 damage with guardian animals is really hard to come by because you have like 5
Right.
attack and then like 4 attack, and so if you put
Wait, what just happened? What was that?
what is going on today?
He just clicked the wrong minion. Ah. Not like this.
Oh man,
We're sophomores now. We're not freshmen anymore, TJ. This is year 2.
well, I mean, Eddie still can't answer this questing adventure unless he gets some help.
Yeah.
Because the guardian animals at max will summon. I guess he could. If it summons both Twilight Runners, he would attack Lightning Bloom hero power.
Right.
Oh, now he finds Wrath, so that'll help him. So now he can innervate guardian animals, kill it, and then Wrath, and play both Anubisods.
This is why I didn't really like, targeting the questing adventure, because
Yeah.
I felt like it put a target on its back, and if they did have guardian animals, you gave it an out in order to kill it. Versus if you taunted, say, the evil miscreant, they have to use 2 attacks to go into it, and then deal with your questing adventure. Not to mention that, of course, he vendetted his own minion, which...
Dan, I'm not an expert at this rogue deck, but you don't do that.
Yeah. Also, Rogue is a class that is themed around betrayal, but that's a little overboard, don't you think?
Yes.
Plagiarize, Dirty Tricks, Vendetta. Pretty good. That's a really good secret passage, quite honestly.
Yeah, it really is, because that'll help him reload his hand at the other end of the passage, which is just a shot bot. Yep. And a rolling fireball, since he did generate that. As well as the ambush. Oh, now Fr0zen is going to get a Lake Thresher of his own. Nice. Still not looking great, though, because Eddie's average draw is so much better than Fr0zen's. Yeah. He needed to rely on that questing adventure a little bit more. And like you said, I do think he could have protected that quite a bit more. And there was no Bamboozle, I think. I was kind of curious what he's thinking about attacking that for. Maybe he's thinking about whether or not he wants to push the additional damage for 3. Hard to say.
Yeah.
But now Ambush. He's got Secrets checked. He's got Ambush if Eddie would just play minion. The Dirty Tricks if he were to play a spell.
Yeah. I mean, this... No matter what you play, it's going to die to the ambush, so Eddie kind of has to, well, take his poison.
You fell right into my trap.
I don't think Eddie. I don't think that's really a mistake. He's already seen a couple of secrets already, unless there's like some kind of sequencing thing, which I don't think is the case. Oh, I guess you could hero power the 2/3. transform it. I don't think you want to do that.
Ooh. Ooh.
Silverback Patriarch. The man, the myth, the legend. It's more like the monkey, the myth, the legend. Ysera Leash into Overflow is really powerful as a combination because then you're going to be able to draw the dragon portals and win. And I think Fr0zen, unless the same dragon pops out of these portals and Flick Sky Shift clears it all, this could be the beginning of the end. I think Rogue's missed its window. Doesn't really seem like it's got many things going for this game. This might be a scoop soon.
Yeah, he needed like a questing adventure right now, and to make a huge questing adventure, and then Eddie's like draw turn where he gets portals would be missed, and then he can use the questing adventure the following turn to like push for lethal damage. That was essentially it. I mean, this is a decent turn though, like protecting his more powerful minions with the Serpent Egg, Titanic Lackey. That Leg Thresher actually doing some work, putting some damage on the Ysera, even though it'll get healed back up with Overflow. Honestly, though, Speaker Gidra is the big one here. Speaker Gidra plus Overflow is going to allow Eddie to clean up this board, but he was hoping that he'd be able to get some cleaner clears instead of trying to attack into a Serpent Egg. And now the portals begin.
Yeah, not to mention that massive buff to Gildra.
Quite large indeed.
Yeah, 811 is quite bigger than a 1-4. Fog Beam, Iron Bark, both playable this turn. I think you still do want to try and stop Rogue from being able to do too much with this. It's kind of hard, right? Because it's like open-ended what Rogue could be potentially doing, but like if they have Wand Thief, they could pick up like Potion of Illusion. All of a sudden, you're like fighting a value battle, and you're still not playing. I guess you do have Survival of the Fittest. Either way, I like picking apart Rogue's board these days because I just don't trust them. They're not very trustworthy.
Yeah, shifty.
Maybe it's all the lines about how they're going to be my death, or maybe it's like the ominous green blades that are pointed at my neck, but there's something that just doesn't make me feel comfortable with them.
I think the same about priests. All right, 10 mana Secret Passage. There's Edwin Van Cleef.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. There's some spice here. Dragon's Horde into
Star Student Selena.
King Crush. Wait.
Oh, he has 4 cards left.
Elise is alive. Active.
Hand Explorer.
He gets another copy of Edwin in his hand. Wait, just play the Edwin that you got from Secret Passage. Now that's a big minion. Wait, hold on. He might be just
is
dead.
He dead? No, he's dead. He's definitely dead.
He's super dead.
He's very dead.
He is giga dead. Survival of the Fittest plus another minion with the Gildra just kills him.
He is deader than any dead person who has ever died.
I mean, that was just a catastrophic game for Fr0zen. Like, the vendetta on his own minion.
The Titanic Lackey putting a target on his questing adventure's back.
Woo. Game 2 is in the books. Best of 5 has turned to a best of 3 with the imminent Mage versus Priest matchup coming up, TJ.
Yeah. That one should be fun. Just because I like Mage is fun to watch, no matter what. It feels like, except for maybe the Turtle Mage. Even when it's losing, you're just getting these randomly generated spells, and there's always an out for you somewhere, or it always seems like there's an out for you somewhere. Fr0zen's also playing the Giants version of the Temple Mage, which I'm starting to like more and more. It seems like that one has more room for refinement, where it can really be a powerhouse and not rely too much on those crazy Sorcerer's Apprentice turns and still pack a punch with big minions. But this rogue deck is I'm still waiting for the rogue deck to have like that one super stomp game, right? And that one was close because it was an unanswered questing adventure that was protected by a Cult Neophyte for multiple turns. What happened here? Shield of Honor.
The key cards have logged off for the night, TJ. They said,
they're done.
Peace out.
They're taking a break.
I'll see you tomorrow. Lord Barrow said, you can't afford my rate. I'm out.
Well, to a mercenary, it's like, I already got nerfed. I don't want to get fired.
That's right. It's like, dude, they'll cut my salary, man.
They'll bring me down to a 1-1 if I don't show up to these key cards.
I know. Oh, jeez. All right. Here we go. Game number 3. 4 keep from Fr0zen. Interesting. Ooh.
Now you know it's going to be exciting.
Oh, very much so.
I mean, it's a pretty decent 4 keep just because you get Wand Thief to automatically activate Vendetta. Dirty Tricks is great because it helps reload. Eddie's not on the coin though, and his deck is pretty minion heavy because he's running the egg version. But still does have like Corsair Cash, Battle Rage, things like that, so you are going to get value out of it. Deep Freeze. It's going to end up being, I think, a pretty decent pickup. Maybe not as much as it would have been against a Bomb Warrior, but still able to shut off some big minions later in the game and consistently freeze to stop either weapon damage or those big minions from attacking again. Seems good to me.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense in terms of like what he wants to be doing reactively. It feels like Rogue is taking a very defensive stance, and it just makes me not. It makes me feel like if you want to play a reactive class that has tempo options, don't you want to just be playing another class like Mage or Warrior? Which feels much better about that. Rogue has always historically been at its best when it's proactive, which is why I like the Secret Passage decks that Alan Numbers is bringing for APAC this weekend, which is much more aggressive. And I watched Gallon pilot it a lot because he got to top 10 Legend with it. I do understand that it has limitations and weaknesses, and Ladder, of course, is a completely different environment, given that Ladder, those kinds of decks succeed a lot more because it's harder to predict, but when they understand your range in tournaments, it performs way worse. That being said, it does feel like Rogue could use some Sinister Strikes this weekend so far, where like Rogue is like missing some damage and then just kind of like dies the moment they lose the board.
Yeah, it does seem to play a lot like Mage though, where you're kind of like generating things from outside your deck and refilling. Like Secret Passage is like the equivalent of like Evocation, where things are going away at the end of the turn if you're not using them. But it does seem like a little bit more inconsistent. They both seem inconsistent, actually. I don't know. It's tough to say.
Yeah, I imagine that decks like Mage, their stock are going to be a lot more volatile going into the next couple of weeks, right? Because the interesting thing is that this week we're playing Conquest. Next week we're playing Last Hero Standing. And the following week we're playing Specialist. And all of those classes will continue to shift in tier list as we go from format to format. Not to mention if there's any changes coming to the game at all, right? Like last season we had multiple balance patches. Like the week after Ashes of Outland release, we had a Demon Hunter nerf.
Yeah.
And how much did that change things? So we'll see. But for now, Rogue, I'm on the fence. And TJ, I normally don't mind riding the fence. That is actually just my casting style. But not in this category. I kind of want to get off Valyr's wild ride here. Unless they have an opening like this. This is a pretty good opening, to be frank. That questing adventure really brought things together.
Yeah. It's not going to stick, I assume, because Eddie has the Inner Rage plus the Shield of Honor. But all things considered, like it's a pretty expensive way to deal with it because Fr0zen didn't like all in on this questing adventure, and he knows that this is a dirty tricks up. Well, could be plagiarized. No, it's not plagiarized because he played a card last turn and passed over.
Yep, does get the reveal that it's dirty tricks. Then gets the trade into the questing adventurer. And so now from Fr0zen's perspective, I wonder how he wants to utilize... Oh, wow, hold on.
Ooh.
Hold on. That is Mr. Van Cleef has entered the chat.
And the Cole Neophyte once again blocked a potential for Eddie to respond. It's only a 6/6, but at this point, Fr0zen's going to take everything that he can get.
Yeah. Secret passages are just hilarious. Warrior get access to that, you know? It's just very amusing. Okay.
Flick the
Flick
risky
Sky
skipper.
Shiv. What do we choose?
Probably risky skipper. Bomb Wrangler's the other one just because it can get more active, but like having the risky skipper gone gives you like some wiggle room. But I guess Bomb Wrangler is like immediate, whereas risky skipper is for the long game, and Fr0zen wants immediate power because he's following up with a coin defreeze.
All right. The secret passage draws Lord Barov. Helps him deal with the board immediately, which is very big. Also has Battle Rage to draw cards before he loses Battle Rage.
Yeah.
So then secret. So because Battle Rage after Lord Barov sets your health to 1. So basically, you don't get that damaged War Maul Challenger anymore. So the order of this is very important. Now he gets a Shield of Honor. Now he gets, and then he can play Lord Barov. And the Boombot can actually just take it from there, to be quite honest.
Try to keep yourselves alive.
Boombot, take the wheel.
Nailed it.
Nice. Now this Argent Crusader gets to attack face. Deep freeze.
Yeah, I feel like the 4
at this point, right? Like, I guess now all these dual class identities are starting to blend within each other. Rogue is becoming more mage, and Warrior now is apparently becoming more rogue.
That little pie chart wheel that Hearthstone tweeted.
Yeah,
that shows like the wheel of dual class. Someone just smashed it, and they're all blending together.
They just swirled it.
Yeah.
They took the play Hearthstone chart and gave it a little swirly. Eddie has the Corsair Cash. That will draw his Live Wire Lance. It's actually kind of scary to deal with water elementals as a warrior because weapons really make this engine go, and the difficulty of dealing with water elementals is going to escalate very quickly. Witchy Lackey.
He's going to do it on the Lord Barov just to kind of keep his Divine Shield around to make it pretty tough.
What?
Altruist!
What?
Pass. Oh no, he can't get any value!
Yeah, because it's risky skipper, and he's certainly not going to get away with that. Backstab! Yeah. Although, I think Fr0zen was looking for a lot more meaningful development behind that.
Yeah, looking for a secret, though he has played some secrets, or just one, just the dirty tricks, I guess. But probably looking for a secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get rid of the 4-1 here for sure.
Yeah, he's got to, especially since he's committed to popping the Divine Shield and didn't go face. This is almost lethal. But looks like Eddie instead can go for a battle rage with Risky Skipper. So go Risky Skipper. Bloodthorn Mercenary.
Oh! Well,
Oh my.
Yeah, he could have played Bloodthorn Mercenary, win a copy, would draw 3 cards, but I mean, this is good too. He either gets a weapon swing next turn or Fr0zen's forced to freeze the Grom, which I think he's, perfectly okay with. And Wrapped Golem, I mean, it's probably the best thing he can get at this point from the Fr0zen. The only other one that I would take maybe a little bit more than that would be the Cartoon Defender, but I mean, having more power on the board is probably even more beneficial. Now Fr0zen really needs some secrets. Is that... Yeah, that's just game.
That is
Gets to buff up the
lethal.
Risky Skipper and then push through.
Wow. Very quickly identified by Eddie and very expertly handled with the Water Elemental. Just was cool under pressure, but quite frankly, Fr0zen just had no real substance behind it. He had 8 mana and he basically just hero powered. I mean, I guess he drew the backstab, but overall, that Rogue deck just kind of showing that it's lacking some depth in the late stages of the game. It had a lead, and then the Warrior responded, and then Rogue responded, and then Warrior one more time reacted to the Rogue, and Rogue's like, okay, I'm done. I don't have anything else. And I think that's where like the Galakron Rogue used to not struggle whatsoever because they had so many meaningful ways to build value over time because Shield of Galakron and Devoted Maniac, even though they were like mediocre cards, they still gave you value to generate more value. And then when you got to Galakron eventually, you always at least had hero power to fill out your mana curve. And it looks like these Rogue decks still struggle with some of the identity. I was reading the Vicious Syndicate report yesterday, and they were talking about how Rogue kind of has the most amount of archetypes, but the least amount of strong direction and where to go. Which is a really interesting observation, and I highly encourage you to go read that report because they basically came to the conclusion that Stealth Rogue seemed to be the most consistent because you would be able to deliver the aggression that you want early game, but then you would be able to still keep up the card draw, which is so paramount to Rogue to maintain their tempo, and then ultimately still have some of the same tools with like Secret Passage and all these secrets that you can use to really deliver a bunch of ridiculous tempo swings.
Yeah, it definitely seems like kind of a house of cards where you build up this kind of massive board with small things plus like Questing Adventure, Edward Van Cleef, but then as soon as those are gone, then you're down to nothing. And you're reliant on these randomly generated things after those are gone, and it's hard to piece together like full game plans just on that. But we'll see if that's going to be the case here. Eddie going to be playing the Highlander Priest versus this secret rogue from Fr0zen. Once again, throwing it out there.
All right, so Fr0zen to start things off for the rogue, and I mean honestly a pretty good curve. Start things off as they have Evil Miscreant with Backstab and the Bone Wraith.
You fell right into my trap.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure if I like that Acidic Swamp Ooze for like almost exactly this reason, which is like giving Rogue kind of that ability to develop meaningful tempo. Like even if it wasn't specifically the Miscreant, it could have been like a Van Cleef or something along those lines that would make Eddie's life a lot harder. I guess it would have been okay though because he has Shadow Madness. So if it was Van Cleef, he would have been able to Shadow Madness to Ambusher. I'm not sure actually.
I think to get the secret out of the way.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some merit to that. Open himself up to be able to play some bigger and better stuff. Oh man, he knows there's 2 lackeys in the hand. Do you go for Mind Render now? No, because he didn't play the lackeys. I don't know. I guess Mind Render is going to have a ton of value as this game progresses. And the tough part about Mind Render is you don't want to give your opponent things that they can play also. You want to try and maximize what you can get out of their hand and minimize what your opponent can get from your hand. Wand Thief.
I suppose so. I guess that's what you really feel like is more valuable, mage spell or priest spell, because there was the ethereal lackey.
Honestly, that's true. Which one is more value? I feel like you have a lot of room to get priest spells with all the generation you have, but you don't have a great opportunity to get mage spells. So, in order for you to diversify your portfolio, you need the Wand Thief. Ooh, okay, let's see. So, the Imprisoned Vile Fiend is going to pop out next turn.
Yeah, I think that the power of Wand Thief is something that we don't really talk about a lot, as Fr0zen gets offered AoE, which I think he's going to take going up against Priest later on. I think I like Secret Development here as well, which because he has a full board, so he doesn't really necessarily want to play like all these things like Faceless Lackey. I guess he could though. He will have the board space after trading. Okay, yeah, this all makes sense. But you know, one of the things that I feel like is one of the more valuable things to do in tournaments, in particular, is that random generation. Oh no, Fr0zen missed another 2-mana turn. This is so unusual for him.
And this is a full clear for Eddie with Breath of the Infinite. Plus,
I mean, does it even
Arcane
have
Explosion.
to be that? It can be.
It
Be
doesn't.
Arcane Explosion instead.
Well, I was thinking both.
Sure, that works. Either way, the point I was trying to get, and I'm just going to wrap it up here because I'm clearly taking a long time and we're missing play calls, is that cards that are randomly generated from other classes are way harder to play around and therefore are much deadlier because people could be walking straight into it. Versus if they know that you're playing around priest cards, they're usually playing around a range of things anyways. And that adds a different dimension because people are accustomed to playing against classes in a specific way.
Oh, yeah, no, this is better because he gets the 2-1.
Nice.
I actually used a coin to make it happen, which could have been nice with the Wretched Tutor, but he has Arcane Explosion for the Wretched Tutor.
Oh, wow. And like, I mean, because of that, Fr0zen draws 2 less cards. Dirty Secrets stays in the hand. Well, he has the Jaundice and the Flick, but this is exactly the scenario that you're talking about, TJ, which is what Secret Passage lines up poorly with cards that are expensive in your deck. So you're playing Secret Passage, you're hoping for this dramatic swing, but what Secret Passage did was add an Evil Miscreant to your hand, which you got 2 Faceless Lackeys. It was not worth. So there's definitely some friction going on.
Yep.
In this deck list. Eddie has the opportunity to put the dagger in with this Mind Render Lucia. This is really tough for Fr0zen to bounce back from, especially after committing to that. Oh boy.
And he's not even giving Fr0zen anything of like super substance. I guess the Onyx, I don't know, the 6-mana dragon that Spellburst add 2 spells from your class. That's the one that's, you know, would kind of hurt to part ways with. But that would be like all he would play. He'd play that plus Forbidden Words, but there's a chance that... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you don't mind render this turn. Because I think that you're relying a lot on value from that Onyx.
Yeah, there's like a lot going on, which is, one, he's showing Fr0zen his removal options. So like Fr0zen will see Arcane Explosion, Soul Mirror. And it's exactly what he said. He's going to lose the Mage Scribe value when actually he kind of needs it. Oh boy. That's good. If you play the Mind Render now, you lose the Galakron. Are you willing to part ways with that? Probably not.
No.
But now, Fr0zen has the opportunity to finally start building the board again. Another issue too, by the way, is he doesn't have a card for Vendetta to combo, but seems like he's not sweating it. He's going to extend onto the board. Mindrunner Lucia has kind of lost a lot of her window. And we talk about how timing is everything with that card. Timing might have passed. Soul Mirror is pretty solid here, though.
Oh. Not Headmaster Kel'Thuzad with the Arcane Explosion?
I mean, it's tempting, and you can actually kill off
it's not good.
a lot of stuff with it. But
It only kills off 3 things, and you'd get the value from the 3-1 with Soul Mirror 2. I think you can just part ways with Soul Mirror here. You still leave 2 1/2s on board, but those can be cleaned up pretty easily with Arcane Explosion next turn.
It's actually just important to deal with that questing adventure. It's the most it's the most pressing threat.
Yeah. I mean, unless he wants to like heal plus Forbidden Words the questing adventure this turn, and then try and go for like maybe see if Fr0zen extends next turn and then Soul Mirror, or if he doesn't extend, then Headmaster Kel'Thuzad with Arcane Explosion. Or Arcane Explosion plus Forbidden Words this turn allows him to hold on to the Soul Mirror. It's actually literally the same outcome. He leaves 2 1/2s on board.
Yeah. And he finds better uses of cards that are a lot more awkward.
Yeah. The only thing is he would have been able to draw a spell from his deck if he had played Soul Mirror.
It's true.
Is it a 3-1 does battle? I don't know.
Oh, wow. He's floating a lot of mana. I wonder if Eddie is tempted.
But Galakrond, Dan.
It's true. Galakrond does look pretty safe to drop here.
Oh, but he could dump his hand completely. He could literally play every card from Fr0zen's hand.
Yeah, he's... Well, I mean, Fr0zen's going to play the Galakrond in response and then just get outvalued, right? I think Eddie's making the read that Fr0zen has cheap cards, though, right? Because he's not going to play backstab in preparation and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, he's going to lose this to the Flick Sky Shiv. This is kind of brutal. Fr0zen's making quite the counteroffensive. And
He's got the Soul Mirror.
Yeah, Soul Mirror
Yeah.
should be okay.
Yeah. Soul Mirror, and then just hope that Fr0zen doesn't find some weird burn at some point.
Is it worth using the Blackjack Stunner?
On what, Flick?
Soul Mirror does end up clearing it, but yeah, I think if he used it on Flick, he had some possibility, but yeah, overall it's still not good enough. Once more, I just gotta say, Rogue just completely looks gassed.
Yeah.
Looks like it just needs to get more cardio in, if you ask me. It's
it's fizzling out a bit.
What is this? An actual unplayable hand. How do you have 7 cards in your deck and not one of them is meaningfully developing anything on the board?
Oh, well, here we go. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Hanar, plagiarize.
All right. This is good.
Yeah, Eddie, I believe, will know that this is plagiarized because I think he's played both of his, all of his other secrets.
Right.
So just needs to make sure he doesn't play into it too heavily.
Beef. Power of Creation.
All right, Power of Creation is some value. Counterspell as well.
That's right.
Pack Tactics.
Pack Tactics.
The worst out of the 3. Counterspell is definitely the choice.
I mean, I don't know if he wants to draw more cards here with Dirty Tricks. He's rapidly approaching the bottom of his deck. Now, he will be getting some of those cards back.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Evocation.
I'm pretty sure that's the reason why Want Thief is insane. Because you just get the chance of evocation.
Yeah.
Oh no. This Mind Render Lucia is like beyond devastating. You want to know something wild, TJ? He could Galakrond, play Mind Render Lucia, and pretty much play the entire hand.
Yep. Everything but power of creation.
Well, Shadow Priest is pretty intriguing. Simply because you get the ability to take away Xiaozhu Hanar, and Galakrond doesn't guarantee that your opponent's going to continue to pile on value. This is like Fr0zen's last concerted attempt. Both questing adventures gone. We haven't seen Van Cleef yet, I think. But this makes the most sense to me because you're able to at least take away one value engine that can really generate a threat in its own. Because secrets and then like a Van Cleef is just very difficult to deal with. Also, we don't know. Yeah, you just take it back.
Yeah, he gets a Cabal Shadow Priest.
Oh, right, the plagiarize. Forgot about that.
No, he burns a card though. If he takes it back though, he has pretty limited mana. But honestly, if he does that, he would just kind of restart his turn, like he had the same value from the previous one.
Right. Now he gets to just develop more secrets again. I was looking at the secret overlay and I kind of realized I forgot about the rogue one because it looked like it had a paladin and a mage.
Let me change your mind.
Interesting. So he knows what the last 5 cards are in his remaining in his deck. Secret Passage is the maximum value right now. He will never get a better Secret Passage for the rest of the game. So he can play almost everything, including Big Daddy Van Cleef. He's got to go quick, though. Finds a Restless Mummy. That's huge. Oh my gosh, if Fr0zen ropes again, I swear, TJ.
All right,
piecing it together. Unfortunately, I don't think Health Desire and Time Rip works the way you want it to when it comes to Van Cleef.
He's got a Mind Render.
Mind Render here with the Secret and the Blackjack Stunner is actually kind of nutty.
Share your thoughts with the class now.
Okay, so you want to Vendetta, but then it gets counterspelled. Then you Noble Sacrifice, Blackjack Stunner, then like like Evocation, I guess at that point.
Yeah, and then play Restless Mummy, and just let the cards from Evocation fall.
True. Although you might want a little bit of that value.
Don't let the door here.
Maybe.
Blackjack Stunner is devastating.
I feel like Evocation's a very dangerous spell that you don't want to let him have.
Oh yeah, it's just that would you not want to play any of these cards is my question. Frost Nova and Frostbolt, that's also okay.
Yep.
And now Fr0zen gets to become Galakrond. What can you do with the best card combinations here? Definitely being Galakrond, and I guess Apotheosis?
Yeah, probably. This is a weird game. Because now Eddie's going to need some help. Because Restless Mummy and Power of Creation with this board that Fr0zen has might just be enough to end the game unless Eddie finds some pretty crucial removal. Because right now all he has is Time Rip. He can. Oh, but Fr0zen knows that if he has Headmaster Kel'Thuz's out of Time Rip. Oh, he's not going to play Galakron. He's just going to play the Edwin.
Maximum tempo.
Okay.
He knows that he can only deal with a couple of these minions.
Yeah.
Wait.
Fr0zen
targets randomly though. You definitely. Yeah, that's just not good. I like this a lot better than just playing Galakron. I think. Because Galakron can't answer all these things. And it's just too slow.
Yeah, so I think Fr0zen realizes that he doesn't have enough time because he only has 2 cards remaining in his deck to get enough value out of the Galakron. He knows that if he goes wide, then Eddie can't Galakron himself to get value out of it. So he just goes for the maximum tempo play, which I like. Looks like Eddie's going to go for Galakron anyway and try and set up for the Kronks. And if he nails the Edwin, let's see.
Oh my.
The worst one.
I'm almost out of cards.
Sets up the Kronks. 17 damage on the board. Dragon's Horde can discover more. Power Creation could be straight up lethal. Nozari is interesting.
Not interesting enough for me to want to take it. Archvillain Rafam, now that's interesting. I mean, it feels like
Eddie's lethal right here, right?
Lucky.
Reckless
Could be.
Rocketeer.
There it is!
Oh my gosh!
I feel like we've said that so much. This is lethal with Reckless Rocketeer.
Am I wrong?
It's lethal. No, it's lethal, right? There's 9, 10, 11, 12 damage on board. 13. There's plenty. There's so much damage. It's lethal by a lot.
I thought I was going crazy, but looks like we're
Lethal
going
by
game
3.
5, TJ. Is there any other way?
Nope. It's not.
All right, one last game to determine it all for day 1 here of Hearthstone Grandmasters for the Americas region. It's going to be Priest versus Mage, TJ. The prophecy. We knew this matchup would end up determining a lot of things. I do feel like this is one of the more even matchups, but I know that it kind of shows that it's probably more Priest favored than Mage because Mage seems to be slightly unfavored against everything.
Yeah,
but we'll see. We'll see how things go as we get ready for the last game, TJ. No matter what happens, this is the end. And how else would you want to spend your last remaining birthday minutes, TJ?
Yep. Gas and some more stuff. Well, there are a little bit different variations from, I guess, what we have come to see as commonplace. Fr0zen's playing the Mirror Image Sea Giant double Conjurer's Calling version of the Tempo Mage, whereas Eddie is playing the Highlander Priest instead of the Galakron Priest, which most of the players have brought. So a few differences. It does seem like because of the lack of consistency in Eddie's deck, he is faltering in places where like normal Galakron Priest wouldn't. Especially when it comes to just raw removal. His deck packs a lot more just minions and some additional value generation instead of just straight up removal, like the ability to have double renew to find removal, the ability to have like the Cleric of Scales to find the additional Breath of the Infinites or Soul Mirrors. So maybe that can be a difference maker, especially since Fr0zen is going to be playing more big stuff, more big minions. and can attempt to end the game faster than most tempo mages normally will. But we shall see. Game 5. All the marbles. Placing top 4 on the line in Group A here.
All right, so Group A, the concluding game to wrap up the roller coaster of day 1 matches here of Hearthstone Grandmasters. Fr0zen starts off with the Astromancer Solarian, the Cram Session, and the Arcane Intellect. So it's like he's got a reasonable curve to go alongside things. I think for Mage, you're really looking for like AoE in the early game because you don't want to make sure that you don't get blown out by Sorcerer's Apprentices, and also single target removal to make sure that those cards like Travala doesn't run away with stuff.
I will crush your delusions of grandeur.
But Fr0zen doesn't have the traditional deck list of it. He's playing Khadgar.
I'd like to see a much more aggressive use of Mind Render from Eddie this game.
Yeah, I just feel like the timing window was missed. And he was given some clues about stuff, right? Like, Fr0zen had turns where he passed on like 6 mana.
Yeah.
And he was holding like 6 cards.
Yeah, especially when he got to the point where he had less than 10 cards in his deck. Even though some of those were randomly generated, Eddie can put that on a lot of like situational cards that could really hurt Fr0zen. They're removed. And maybe he didn't want to give Galakrond over, but I mean, at that point, I would have gladly given Galakrond over to Fr0zen if it meant that I got to just dump the rest of his hand. He barely had time to get value out of those hero powers, so. Temple Mage, I feel like it's a little bit easier to find that timing because at all stages of the game, they're holding on to, maybe not so much Fr0zen's list, but most Temple Mages, at all stages of the game, they're holding on to cheap tools, activation tools.
Yeah, well, I mean, the tools for these Tempo Mages are starting to continue to evolve here. It looks like Khadgar and Conjurer's Calling coming to the hand here. Fr0zen just needs a giant. I don't know if that's the giant he was looking for, though.
How many minions can he... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Can almost get Sea Giant down.
Oh my gosh, Evocation? Looks like he's just gonna go for it again. Looks like Fr0zen seems to be the master of it. Another magic trick. Font of Power. Another Khadgar! Now he can Khadgar Conjurer's Calling twice in a row, if he needs to. There's also Combust available this turn if he wants to play that.
Time runs out on me.
But it's kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
Ooh, Arcane Intellect. Interesting. Interesting that he doesn't value that he just doesn't necessarily want to kill the Mind Flare, so and just prioritizes the Ice Barrier. I think he's trying to mess with his opponent's head. There's a lot of value in sometimes picking secrets to really make your opponent play suboptimally.
Yeah. I guess that Combustion didn't really have too many good targets because the Restitutor with Coin in the hand was going to damage it anyway. And there wasn't much room in the hand for Mana Cyclone. And if you play Khadgar in that position, again, it just gets eaten up by the Restitutor because Coin was in hand, so Eddie had a guaranteed way to activate that Spell Burst.
Yeah, from here, Eddie coined because he wanted to activate the AoE, but does he want to commit to playing Onyx Mage Scribe?
Probably. Maybe he was thinking about Mindbender there to try and dump some cards, but At this point, I just don't think it's... he just saw him go off a Sorcerer Apprentice, so... he's probably holding on to some more of the expensive stuff because he would have dumped the cheap stuff, most likely. Because this is a bad Mindrender hand now. There's just too much. There's Conjurer's Calling and Giants. Fr0zen's moving quickly towards a very big power turn. And like you mentioned, likely multiple in a row. Because he's got 2 Conjurer's Calling, 2 Khadgars, and 2 Giants.
Yeah, at this point, Fr0zen just going to continue to dump his hand. By the time he gets his Mana Giant, it's going to be... by the time he's able to get it down, it's going to be really cheap. He's got the 3 already, so the Khadgar, Mana Giant, and Conjurer's Calling combination is now 9 mana. Zephyrus. What can we do with Zephyrus in this position?
I must consider.
Nothing
There's
worthwhile.
not really much, to be honest. A lot of the power cards
Yeah.
from Zephyrus tends to be in playing reactive cards like that. Proactive cards, there's fewer options. There's like Van Cleef, there's Earth Elemental, there's like Tyrion. Yeah, ends up just picking up a Chimera that's poisoned. That's actually a pretty powerful minion.
That's sick! That is so sick!
Yeah, it's very strong.
And this is a awkward hand. A pair of Sea Giants, a pair of Khadgars, a pair of Conjurer's Callings. None of which can be used in combinations with each other. Because if he Mana Giants and then plays a single copy of Conjurer's Calling, one of those gets killed by the Chimera. He's just going to play a Sea Giant.
Oh my goodness, a Shadow Word Death.
Or Galakrond.
I mean, you can also just play the Galakrond on curve, yeah. That just seems
honestly,
too
love the
nice.
Galakrond.
It's also a lethal setup because... Or like a 3-turn lethal setup, because then you can play Kronk, then Zephyrus, and layer that in.
Yeah.
Problem is you probably couldn't kill him guaranteed next turn. You have 8 power on the board, you gain another 6 from Kronk's +2. Alternatively, if you Zephyrus and Bloodlust, that's 8 + 9, so 17 damage.
Could also Zephyr, Shadow Madness, Savage Roar. I don't think that would be more damage.
Well, either way, they're not doing much here because Fr0zen's going to discount again, Counterspell and Frost Nova. Oh. Oh,
devolving missiles.
Devolving missiles. Very confident that he's not going to get punished too hard here.
Is he going to hit that Chimera? That's the big thing. Oh, yeah, he did hit it. Depth! No!
Depth charge.
That's a board clear! He cleared his board! With the 1 devolving missiles!
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I mean, you could still
That's
make
big.
an 8-8 here.
Yeah, but like Eddie was like thinking he had this game in the bag, and now the game's kind of wide open. You can see the counter spell.
Keep your thoughts to yourself.
So real quick, I wonder if this was another turn for Eddie to consider Mindrender or Lucia.
Yeah.
Because if he did, I think he would have completely gimped Fr0zen. And now Fr0zen, on the other hand, has the turn that he's been looking for all game long.
Yeah. He could have played Mana Giant, dumped the Khadgars, got rid of the counterspell with the Frost Nova, and called it a day.
We must band together, united.
Yeah,
Eddie
this
does
is,
have answers, but
yeah, he has Zephyrus to brawl, but like Fr0zen should. He has 2 Khadgars. What on earth is happening? Walking fountains appear. And another secret, which is just to disrupt Eddie's choices. So Shadow Madness and Kronks will clear off most of this board.
Yeah. He wants to try and hold off on Zephyrus for as long as possible and the Soul
Right.
Mirror.
You are too late. His return is nigh.
Chooses
He's got layers
Annihilation.
of removal.
Right, but now Fr0zen kind of like
Does the same
just do the
thing.
same thing. Yeah.
He does the same thing for like 4 turns. Oh, that's sick. Whew. All right.
You think this is your time?
I think he's just chilling. Again, doesn't want to overextend. Vaporize. So here's another thing, TJ. The actual correct play, if you knew both hands, is actually yet another Mind Render.
If he knew both hands, yeah, because he could Frost Nova.
Frost Nova,
And,
dump everything, and then
mana
clear it, guaranteed. Yeah, 100%. But like Eddie is holding on to his Mind Render, understandably so.
I mean, he has more answers. He has Zephyrus as another answer
Right.
to the next wave.
He doesn't have the read, and I don't blame him. It's tough to make those kinds of calls. Man, oh man.
Oh,
What?
Grom! He could push 10!
Yeah.
He could Conjure Skull on the other and
Absolutely.
then push 10.
Oof. And is Fr0zen going to make an improbable comeback here? I was not anticipating him
I
to
don't think
make
so.
it based off of how things were developing, because Eddie seemed to be in full control.
Yeah.
Shadow Word Death clears off part of the board here, but Fr0zen still has more ammo, but he's starting to run out. And I think this is probably where the buck begins to stop.
Yeah, not the greatest outcome here for 5 drops. And yeah, looks like this is the last push for Fr0zen. And Mind Render, so lonely. I guess it'll be the dagger to the heart once all this is said and done.
Yeah.
Breath of the Infinite, Zephyrus plus anything really. I guess doesn't even need to. Can just
Right. This is Zephyrus here, I think. He's seen this is his third giant, I believe.
no. He's played all of them. He's played both
Okay.
Mana Giants. This is his second Sea Giant.
He's played all of his Conjurer's Calling. Twisting Nether should wrap this up.
Yep.
And Fr0zen has Mana Cyclone.
Is it cold in here? Or is it just me?
Mana Cyclone,
I don't know why
mean,
he
he's
didn't
got
just
nothing.
Wave Wish at all.
yeah.
All right, now Mind Render. Dump them all.
It's Dragon Queen.
Yeah. You don't want to Mind Render because then
Fr0zen
you give your
Forbidden
opponent
Words.
Dragon Queen.
It's Fr0zen Forbidden Words as well, which is totally reasonable.
You think this
Summons
is your
basically kind of the same stats that you're hoping for,
Yep.
Is it cold
and it
in
clears
here?
off the board.
Or is it just me?
All right, so what are the outs for Fr0zen here? It's hard to think of any because he just doesn't have anything impactful left. His deck is built around the Giant synergy. He still has a mirror image left in his deck. He needs like burn that's generated from Mana Cyclone here. I mean, Eddie is at 15, so if he does find multiple burn spells,
Power of Creation. Reckless Rocketeer?
Again? He still needs some help beyond that, though, because Eddie's still at 14. And he can't Power of Creation plus Frost Nova to try and buy himself some additional time.
Yeah, you Frost Nova first. What? Evasive Dragon?
Yeah.
Alright, that's it.
Yep.
Fr0zen has battled all the way back.
Onyx Mage Scribes. Nope. If you picked up like Onyx Mage Scribes and then mirror imaged.
Oh, you're right.
He could have found some additional burn.
Yeah. Pretty valiant effort, all things considering. I kind of thought Fr0zen had been an underdog, but Madame Lazul just to see the 3 cards. And,
And then he's thinking to himself, yeah, you're dead, buddy.
Yeah.
Is there any way to push through a little bit more damage with Breath of the Infinite?
It's a brand new.
Doesn't seem so, but can Wretched Reclaimer this Evasive Draconid, heal it back up to full health?
I like it. Eddie is locked and loaded. He's ready to press in. He's ready to go to Sunday.
Not doing that.
If he pushes all face here, okay.
There's the out right there.
Oh boy, here we go. One last hurrah. Eddie. Oh no, that's a bad start. That's a really bad start. Oh jeez, what was that? Asherman's a Solarian doing nothing.
Yikes.
Except refusing to let this game end. I would be tempted to try and get Renew through a counter spell. I might like Breath of the Infinite here.
Yeah.
Oh wait, what? Skeletal Dragon? He's gonna summon a copy for his opponent here. I guess he's okay with that because a taunt would summon itself and he can't get through it. Okay. For real though, the last turn here, opportunity for Fr0zen.
You can freeze a couple things and get Deathwing?
What's his last 4 cards in his deck?
I don't even know.
Okay, well, I can't find a series of cards or plays here for Fr0zen that can save him, and
Charge, shield, or sparkle.
yeah. I mean, I guess he still stays alive, right? But
You can find like Dragon Queen Alexstrasza into I don't know.
Right Wing?
Onyx Mage Scribe or Brightwing into something else.
Hanging on
Plus
for dear life.
Evasive Draconid, probably not enough. Definitely not enough, actually. Get rid of that probably. Radiance.
Yeah, and the Breath of the Infinite should clear off everything, and really good attempt again by Fr0zen, but doesn't seem like there's any way to salvage this.
And this is got to be a bitter end for Fr0zen because he's played a lot of hours of competitive Hearthstone today.
Very much so. I think all of his series went the distance. And I think he's played collectively around 5 hours on broadcast in 3 series.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Time is running out. This timeline amuses me.
Your feeble magic amuses me.
He's got to have something
Still alive.
left. Yeah, he's got to have something left that he's playing for. Because Fr0zen, if he doesn't think he has a chance, will usually just dip out. Another wretched reclaimer. Can't even speak now.
Well, Eddie's making the victory push, and now it's Fr0zen's last card. And the last card is Lab Partner. That wraps it up. Eddie advances to top 4 on Sunday. And with that, Eddie and Muzzy will be joining us on the last day of the week for a competition. And that's going to finally wrap it up here for day number 1.
Yeah, finally. Whew, what a marathon of a day. Not only just for us, but I think us and Europe both had 8-hour broadcasts, which is kind of insane to think about. If you really like Hearthstone, it's like 3.5 hours.
We did it, TJ.
Apex starts,
20-hour broadcast. We entered hour 21.
We did over 20 hours. So we're gonna hit 60 hours by the end of this weekend. Not so much because Sunday's a shorter day, but looking forward to tomorrow.
Who's ready
though.
for another 20-hour broadcast tomorrow featuring Bloodyface, Firebat, Language Hacker, and No Hands Gamer. No Hands Gamer, the new Grandmaster, joining us for this season as he has qualified from his earnings in the Masters Tour. Bloodyface, of course, looking to see if he can repeat his championship performance again, which would make him the back-to-back-to-back champion.
Yeah.
Pretty absurd to think about.
I think No Hands and Bank Yugi from APAC, the only 2 new Grandmasters to make it to their respective regions' top 8 for week number 1. So No Hands going to be trying to rep for the newcomers. He's also been, floating in top 20 legend for a couple days now. So excited to see him play. Had been talking to him a little bit more recently, interviewed him, and he's a cool guy. Likes to build new decks, and beginning of expansion is the perfect time to experiment with that kind of stuff.
All right, well, we're not going to waste any more time here. Appreciate everyone who's tuned in. It's been a long day. It's been a pretty epic first day of competition here for Hearthstone Grandmasters, but we are done. We're going to see you in just a few hours for Asia Pacific. If you need anything else, go to playhearthstone.com/esports. From Fr0zen, TJ, and everybody else here, part of the HSGM program, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time for more Hearthstone action.